Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, and today we have a video talking about the top 10 non-conference games of the 2022 college football season. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Now, I made a video yesterday talking about the top 10 coaches on the Power 5 coaches on the hot seat, and today we have a video talking about the top 10 non-conference games. Now, starting with the honorable mentions, these are the games that did not make the list, and there are a lot of them because there are a lot of good games in the non-conference schedule this season. First, we have Indiana at Cincinnati. Pretty decent game. Indiana coming off a terrible season. Cincinnati's ranked 23rd. I think that Indiana and Cincinnati is going to be a pretty decent game to watch. It should be close. I do have Cincinnati favored to win, but it's going to be a close game nonetheless, and very interesting to see what happens in that one. Up next, we have Boise State at Oregon State. Oregon State's improved. Boise State's been declining, but I think that it's going to be a quality game. Oregon State probably going to be around a 500 team. Boise State maybe a little bit better than 500, but being in a smaller conference makes to me to believe that this is going to be a fairly close game and a very under-the-radar game that not a lot of people are talking about that I am looking forward to see. I probably have this game being very close. I don't really know who's going to win this one. I would say Oregon State because they're a Power 5, but it's going to be interesting to watch. TCU and SMU is up next. This one's going to be a quality game. TCU-SMU is a rivalry. They play it every year. TCU is probably going to be favored, but this also has the intrigue that TCU's coach used to be the SMU coach. It's going to be a very interesting game to watch. Very under-the-radar game as well. Up next, we have Iowa State at Iowa. This is a rivalry game played every single season. Iowa with Kirk Ferentz probably going to be better than Iowa State and Matt Campbell this season, especially because it's at Iowa, but it's still a game that is going to be a game people want to see, a rivalry game between two teams that don't like each other. It's going to be a good game. It should be in the same conference. I still don't know why they're not, but nonetheless. Next, we have number 25 BYU at Boise State. BYU is better than Boise State, but it's on the road. BYU probably will be favored, but Boise State could win this game, and that's what makes this one very interesting to watch. Two very solid non-Power 5 teams, even though BYU is about to join the Big 12. Next, we have number 23 Arkansas at number 25 BYU. This one's going to be a really good game. I like the fact that they're playing this game with BYU and Arkansas. BYU usually doesn't have high-quality opponents like this, but this year they do, and this is going to be a really high-quality game. It just shows you how many high-quality games that there are when this game's not in the top 10 of my list anyway. And Arkansas probably going to be favored to win, but who knows? This game could go either way. BYU's still a quality team, but I probably would lean Arkansas. Next, Florida at Florida State. Another game like Iowa State, played every year. Teams don't like each other. Florida's probably the better team than Florida State, but it's at Florida State, and Florida State is improving again, hopefully for them, and it should be a very close game. Can't wait to see that one. My next game, this one should have been in the top 10, but Nebraska dropped the ball against Northwestern, and it dropped a few pegs. But number 9, Oklahoma at Nebraska, an old rivalry of the Big 12. Looking forward to this game. Anyway, I like to see if Nebraska can keep it close, knowing then they will, and then lose heartbreakingly like they always have been. But it's going to be a very interesting game to see what happens with Oklahoma and Nebraska. It would have been in the top 10 more than likely if Nebraska had to beat Northwestern. Up next, we have Penn State at Auburn. Last year was a thriller when it was at Penn State. Now it's going to be at Auburn. I probably would lean Auburn because it's at an SEC school, and it's tough for a Big Ten school to go down and play at an SEC school. But Penn State probably has more talent than Auburn. It's going to be a really good game, though. Very under-the-radar game as well, I think, this season because they're both not ranked right now. Penn State could be ranked by the time they play, but we'll have to wait and see. If they beat Purdue, they will be. Florida State versus LSU's up next on a neutral. LSU's probably the better team. A lot of people are picking Florida State as a wild card option to win this game and have a great season. We'll see. LSU's got better talent than Florida State, but it's going to be an interesting game. Plus, the neutral's not really a neutral because it's in New Orleans, which is kind of funny that they put neutral in there. Next, we got number 4 Clemson at South Carolina. I wanted this game to be in the top 10, but I didn't because, again, there's just way too many great games. And South Carolina is an improving football team. I actually have South Carolina upsetting Clemson. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be interesting. Actually, I think the game's at Clemson, my bad, but it's going to be an interesting game. South Carolina could upset Clemson. It could happen. But Clemson will still be favored, but it's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait for that game late in the season. And last, this one I wanted to have in the top 10 as well, but I put another game in its place because it's an old rivalry. But Tennessee at number 17, Pittsburgh. Tennessee is a really improving football team. They got a great team. Pittsburgh going to take a step back, obviously, with Kenny Pickett gone and Jordan Addison, but I still think it's going to be a toss-up game. I would maybe lean Tennessee, even though it's at Pittsburgh, but it's going to be a good game nonetheless. Now my top 10 non-conference games of the 2022 season. Number 10, West Virginia at 17, Pitt. I had to put it in the top 10 because it's the old backyard brawl. They used to play this game when they were both in the Big East in the 2000s, 90s, 80s, and all the way back. Great game. I'm glad it's back this season. I would lean Pitt, but I think Tennessee Pitt's going to be a better game than West Virginia Pitt, but I had to put it in the top 10 just for the nostalgia's sake of the backyard brawl. At number 9, we have Notre Dame versus number 25 BYU on a neutral. BYU probably not going to be able to compete with Notre Dame, but it does intrigue me because the game's all the way out in Las Vegas, and to me that leans BYU, and I had to put this one in the top 10 for that reason alone. If this was at Notre Dame, it would not have been in the top 10, but the fact that it's way away from where Notre Dame is, to me, gives BYU a chance to pull off the upset. At number 8, we have number 23, Cincinnati. At number 19, Arkansas. Arkansas is a really improved football team. Cincinnati is going to take a step back because they don't have Desmond Ridder, Jerome Ford, Sauce Gardner, all those players. I think they're still going to be really good, but at Arkansas, I would lean Arkansas. If Cincinnati had Desmond Ridder still, I would have had this game higher on the list. At number 7, we have number 7, Utah at Florida. Utah is everybody's sleeper pick to make the playoff. I don't know about that, but they have to win this game if they do want to make the playoff. Florida's desperate to get back to relevancy, getting back to where they were Kyle Trask years and even further back with Tim Tebow. They have to win if they want to get back sooner than later. I think Florida definitely has better talent than Utah, but Utah's got better coaching right now. I think Florida's coach, Billy Napier, is going to do it in the future, but it's going to be interesting in year one. I probably would lean Utah if Florida wasn't so talented, but since it's at Florida, I probably would have to go Florida, but Utah definitely can win this game, and it would really help the Pac-12 out. Number 6, we have number 4, Clemson. At number 5, Notre Dame. This game I would have toward the top of the list, but it's played almost every year, and plus, by the time that this game's played later in the season, both teams might have a loss or two, which might lower this down the list a little bit. Which is why I have it number 6. But with them both being ranked in the top 5 now, if this was a week 1 game, I'd have it like number 1 or number 2. But I have it number 6. It's going to be a great game to watch, and I'm looking forward to it. We know what happened a couple years ago with Clemson and Notre Dame. Notre Dame won, and then they played again, and Clemson won. So it's definitely a very intriguing game, and I'm looking forward to see. At number 5, we have number 5, Notre Dame. At number 14, USC. This game, I have this high because it's going to be very interesting to see if USC is back. This game is going to be a really good telling if they're back because Notre Dame having to go out to LA. If USC can pull the upset, it will really show that Lincoln Riley has that program turned around. At number 4, we got number 11, Oregon. At number 3, Georgia on a neutral. I would have this game higher like other people do. Some people have it as their number 1 game. But it's because Oregon beat Ohio State last year at Ohio State, but Ohio State's defense wasn't very good. Georgia's defense is still better than what Ohio State's defense was last year. I think Georgia's going to run away with this one a little, not like badly, but probably by 15 to 20 points. Georgia, it's also in Atlanta, Georgia, so again, not really a neutral site game. The fact that they call it a neutral site is kind of bogus. I have Georgia winning this game, but I think it's still going to be a very high-quality game that I am looking forward to seeing. At number 3, we got number 1, Alabama at Texas. Now, a lot of people have this game as their number 1. And I want to put it number 1, but I'm still skeptical of Texas. Is Texas back? I don't know. They got a lot of players that are talented. We know that. They've been talented in the past, and it is intriguing to see Alabama finally play a road game in the non-conference, which they haven't done since like 2010 or 2011, so that's nice to see. It's really an intriguing game. I am looking forward to it. Fox has been hyping it up for 2 weeks now. I'm looking forward to the game, but I do not think it is the number one non-conference game because of the uncertainty of how good Texas really is. At number 2, we got number 16 Miami. At number 6, Texas A&M. A lot of people will probably be surprised why I have this game so high, but Miami, their talent on the roster, Tyler Van Dyke can throw it all over the field. Texas A&M might be a little bit overrated, but this game is really going to be very close. It's going to be able to see if Texas A&M is going to be able to push for the SEC West this year, if they can beat Miami. This is going to be a very intriguing game, and a game that I think a lot of people are underestimating about how good it's really going to be. And at number 1, we have number 5 Notre Dame, at number 2 Ohio State. Now, a lot of people think Ohio State's going to run away with this one, and they might, but this game has the makings to be very close because Notre Dame is going to want to prove itself that they can beat a great team and say that they're a playoff team in Marcus Freeman's first season. Oregon went to Ohio State last year and won early on. If Notre Dame can push the ball on offense, they can beat Ohio State because Ohio State's defense, I know they got a new defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State, but this game has the makings to be a really great game. 2 top 5 teams early on, week 1, 7:30 game. It definitely could be the best game of the season. I know some other people would pick a few other games, but in my opinion, as of now, this is going to be the best game of the non-conference season. Comment down below what you think about these games and which game should be the number 1 non-conference game. There's a lot of other games that you could pick, but this is the one that I picked. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Like this video, and I'll see you next time.